What's up, Pirates? Wraith Talks here with Awaken TCG, and today I'm here with Jim. We're going to do part 2 of this series where we just go ahead and look at all the O5 cards coming with the OP05 set. And so today we're doing green. We're going to go ahead and show off these cards. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So for starters, we have Don Quixote Rosinante, and so this card is a leader card with 5,000 power. It is a dual color, so it's going to have that 4 life. It says blocker. At the end of the turn, if you have 6 cards or less in your hand, you can activate this leader. And so in order to activate that blocker, you have to have 6 or less in your hand, if I'm not mistaken, and you can block for your characters that you don't want to die, or if you need to take a life. Very interesting leader. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, blocker leader is super interesting. So I think there's a few uses for it. I've actually tested this card out, and the best use for it is early game, going second. You can play one of your one-cost Bonnie type searchers. Now even the Don Quixote pirates have a one-cost searcher.
Mm-hmm.
You play that search first turn, and they try to swing into your blocker, and instead you just block with leader and take a life.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
pretty strong. So that's the best use case I found for it, and that's also why I don't like its other effect, which is you can restand if you have 6 or less cards, because I think this leader would thrive if it always restood, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe that would be too strong. But I think the power was, when I was testing it, I had so many cards in hand just because I can protect these searchers very easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I think protecting smaller stuff is what this is going to be good at. Or if they overswing on one of your big guys that you don't want dead, you can instead just take a life.
Yeah.
It's a pretty versatile leader, but the green and blue colors together, I think they're both like kind of support colors
Yeah.
whenever they're in a dual color. 2 support colors together, I don't think it's me great. Sanji has this color scheme, not great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, we're just gonna have to
we'll
see.
see.
Yeah. That is our first leader and only leader for green here for OP05. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into the characters. So we have Virgo here, 3 drop. So he's a 3 cost, a 4,000 power with 1k counter. He's a Navy and Don Quixote pirate. It says Don ×1 when attacking, kill up to one of your opponent's rested 3 drops or less. Kind of like, your Robin, but for green, right? And it can KO a 3 drop. And then if
Yeah,
you, so go ahead.
it's practically a Green Robin. But the fact that they have to be rested makes it not as good as Robin, because they have to have already basically swung with it and got value out of it if you're not resting it yourself, which also makes this have another cost to the effect. So I think it's okay. I don't love it.
Yeah, I think it's too much requirements to get the effect off, right? And you have to commit a Don in order to use it in the first place.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. We have Queen. So this is your cookie cutter, just 2 drop, 2k power, 1k counter blocker. Not too much to say about this. It's a Don Quixote pirate, so it's going to be searchable by some cards. And not much to say here. We're going to go ahead and go to the next one. Here's an interesting one. So we have so it's characters Gladius, a 5 cost, 6,000 power Don Quixote pirate. It says activate main. You can put this character into rest and then put up to one opponent's 3 drop or less into rest as well. Personally, I think having to, put this character to rest just to rest a 3 drop is kind of bad. Maybe if it was like a 4 or 5, because it is a 5 drop and you got to rest your own card. I don't know. Maybe it can work, but definitely iffy on this one.
This shit, it sucks. It's bad. The only thing that's kind of good about it is you can obviously activate the effect on the first turn it's played, and obviously you can't swing with it the first turn anyway, so it's like a free effect the first turn you play it. But after the fact, I don't know if it's any good. Maybe if you're going for game and you rest a blocker, but otherwise, not the greatest, to be
Yeah, I
honest
mean,
with
it's
you.
still 5 Don to rest 1 card. There's so many better options to get cards rested
Yeah,
in
you're putting a
green.
6K on board though the first turn you
Yeah.
play it, and then it rests at 3 at the same time. So, but it also rests itself. Yeah, this card sucks.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe you can combo with something. We're just gonna have to see, especially for some of the cards that look really bad. You never know, could end up being decent in certain decks. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. We have Sarkeith. How do you say this? Sarkeith?
Sakis. Yeah,
Sakis.
something like that.
So he is a Bellamy pirate. 4 drop, 4,000 power with 1k counter. And then he reads Dawn times 1 when attacking. Once per turn, you can put one of your characters with a cost 3 or more um, and rest it. And then you activate this character, which you restand, if I'm not mistaken.
So one of your characters costs 3 or more to rest and then activate. So you can like basically sacrifice when you're 3 or lesses to put them back into active.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but I mean double swings are okay. He's a 4/4, which is like really bad. So I don't know if this card is the best either. I think the green cards this set aren't looking the greatest.
Yeah, definitely, especially for 4 Dawn to be able to play this card. I think that's a huge amount of investment for a 4K, and especially having such a mediocre effect, in my opinion.
I agree.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. So this is Law, awesome art. I like when they are kid form. He's strapped with grenades.
Yeah, he was about to end his life to
That's
take out somebody
insane.
in anime. Yeah.
Okay, so he is a 1 cost, 2,000 power with 1k counter. Don Quixote pirate as well, and his effect reads Activate main. You can place this character in the trash, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 3 or less.
Yeah. It's a 1 cost rest of 3,
Yeah,
which
not bad. I
I'm
think
pretty sure green
I
already has a 1 cost rest of 4, right? That one event card.
yes. Yeah, it does. Paradise Totsuka,
So
yeah.
yeah, it says counter, but another lackluster card that I do not love.
Mhm. Um but I mean I definitely run something like this over the 5 drop rest itself to rest of 3
Oh,
drop.
100%. Yeah. I mean,
Um
it's a 1 to rest of 3, right? So
yeah, get the
pretty
blockers
strong.
out of the way. Definitely like a trying to go for game kind of card when there's blockers in your way.
Uh-huh. Agree.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So here we have Don Quixote do Flamingo. So he's a 1 drop, 2k 1k counter, 2,000 power. Read his effect here. You can place this character in the trash. KO up to one of your up to one character with cost 2 or less. Uh, that's rested. So again with this rested thing, I know green has a lot of cards where you do rest. Um, but it seems to me that you have to combo with something else. Like you not only do you have to get the rest off. Oh, I'm burping. Not only do you have to get the rest off, you also have to then play a card where you KO a rested card. Um, Obviously, super good, super efficient when they're already rested, and your opponent attacked with the card, and then you can play something like this to KO it, comboing it uh, in a deck. Like I know some of these cards will have use in the Isho leader deck, the black green, right? Being able to reduce cost and then going to KO a rested unit. So some of these will have more uses than just for this Rosinante leader. But yeah, this card's decent. Nothing special. I would say it's pretty average. What about you? What do you think about this?
So yeah, I think it's kind of decent. KO 2 or less rested is not great in green. This card makes me think you might want to run the Don Quixote package and a lot of these kind of lackluster cards in Isho.
Yeah.
Black sounds decent, but still, even then, I don't even know if this card's good enough to make it.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these 1 drop weenie units with like subpar effects where I don't
Yeah,
see if they're gonna have any effect on the meta and see any play at all.
I completely agree.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the next character here. We have another Don Quixote do Flamingo. This is a 7 cost, 8,000 power. He is the highest cost card for green this set. His ability reads: when the opponent attacks once per turn, you can rest 1 Dawn. Rest up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 6 or less. See, now this is a great card. This is a great card. Being able to rest a 6 or less just for 1 Dawn on your opponent's turn when they attack is pretty massive. Now, a card like this, you're gonna see 4 of, right? Um, Definitely an amazing effect, and it has 8,000 power for a 7 drop, so not bad. Uh,
So call me a hater, but I'm gonna have to disagree. Okay, so you can't play this on curve in any green deck other than blue or green purple Doflamingo because you'll need one rested Dawn on top of the seven. The AK body's good, no counter, very bad, and effects like this when opponent attacks, they can kind of play around
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
Whether
that
it,
makes
whether
sense.
it's whether it's they pop this body before they even decide to attack, or they only have one character they really wanted to attack with that much on board, and they'll just attack with that. But out of the cards we've seen, I think this one's probably the best so far.
Yeah, which is kind of rough to say for the green cards because that's my personal favorite color, and yeah, this being the best so far is concerning for green, but we'll see what else is there. But for now,
Yeah,
I guess we're just gonna have to call
just
this
a
the
little too
best.
expensive.
Yeah, it is expensive. And that's fair to say. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and see if we can find a better card than this. Here we have Don Quixote Rosinante. So we have a 2-drop, 1K counter, 1000 power blocker. And he reads during your opponent's turn, if your rested character is KO'd, place this character in the trash instead. So it sounds like you can have your basic block ability, but then if your opponent goes and KOs one of your other rested units, you can trash this card instead. So that's not only being able to be saved from an attack, but also a KO effect such as Jet Pistol or any red card that KOs. Not bottom deck effects, unfortunately, but this being a versatile blocker, being able to block events and attacks seems pretty decent to me.
Yeah, I honestly think this card is pretty cracked. Like a lot of decks already play your average 2/2 blocker anyway. The 1K and the 2K power on a blocker is never making a difference. So minus 1K power for this effect that can negate a lot of KO effects from red and black seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I definitely can see a lot of the meta green decks just slotting this in just to have that, that Marco effect on any one of their characters they choose.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the next one. Buffalo. He is a 3 cost, 4000 power. Read his effect here. 1K counter. Read his effect. When attacking once per turn, if you have 2 or more characters rested, activate up to one cost character in your.
So basically, you can restand a one cost character when
Gotcha.
it attacks if you have two or more rested characters.
So shit,
Which
shit.
isn't
It's
good.
pretty
I've
pretty
actually
bad.
play tested it because I'm running a lot of those one cost searchers, and you think they would be good, but the fact that you have to play it and then also has to attack, it's not good. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
It's
it's
too slow for a pretty weak effect.
weak effect. Doesn't even maybe if this had a vanilla stat line, it'd be like okay, a little bigger body on the board. But I mean, with that 4000 power making it that much weaker, and the effect being only so good because you had to have 2 or more rested, definitely pass on this card here.
I agree.
All right, we're gonna move on to Pika. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Pika, a 4 cost, 6000 power. Don Quixote Pirate as well, so it is searchable by Don Quixote Pirate searchers. Read the effect here. It says, at the end of the turn, pay 1 and you can activate this character. And then he has another effect. Once per turn, if this character is KO'd, instead you can put up to 1 of your 3 costs or higher characters other than Pika into rest. I guess this is where your some of your 3 drops come into play because you can just instead of this card getting KO'd, you can just go ahead and rest the character and, it negates one of their attacks. Or it could also negate, an effect because it just says when the character is KO'd. So we see another one of those like anti-event cards where you can just completely block out, a KO effect by, using the card's effect. So this card's good. It's decent. 4/6. Has the vanilla stat line, but it is no counter. But with a great effect. Yeah.
I'd say the 4/6 stat line is probably the best stat line in the game. It's my favorite stat line in the game. A lot of good cards like the 4/6 Rush Katakuri. They just feel really good, especially in a Whitebeard meta.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact this card has two great effects. If you put just one of these effects on the card, it might still be playable. Just resting one at the end and putting it back to active, protecting itself after an attack, is going to be really easy to do in green purple Doflamingo. It's guaranteed basically every turn. And then the other effect to rest at 3 or less instead of it getting KO'd basically makes this thing immortal if you have a lot of small chumps on the
Mm-hmm.
board. So really strong. It's definitely the best card we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think this.
Definitely deserving of the SR spot.
Yeah, that definitely tops the Don Quixote
Yeah.
Doflamingo
Oh,
7 drop that we've
100%.
seen. Um, yeah, great card. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We're almost here, nearing the end. So this is another weenie unit. So it's a one cost, 1,000 power with 1K counter. We'll go ahead and read the effect. So it says startup main.
Activate main.
So activate main. Rest one Dawn. This character can be set to rest up to one character card with the feature Don Quixote Pirate with cost 2 or less from your hand to appear. So basically, you got to play a 2 drop from your hand.
Right.
So
With by resting one Dawn. So you get to play a 2 drop for one less Dawn.
So yeah, I guess it's like you combo it, right? So you go second, turn one, you play this, rest one, play a 2 drop. Get a little
Yeah.
advantage. But
I think that's what this whole Rosinante deck archetype is supposed to go for. Just playing a lot of these weenie guys and just kind of flooding the board with them and protecting them with your blocking leader. But honestly, none of the weenies are good enough to like warrant
them being
the
played.
deck being good. So yeah, I don't know where this is going. Like, yeah, I could play a 2 drop for one less, yay! But what 2 drop is so strong that I care about that?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, in this particular set,
Yeah,
we
like
can play like one of these blockers, but
yeah,
besides that, I mean,
it's
there's
not
no
a
good.
game changer. That's
There's
the thing.
yeah, there's no good targets for it. Yeah, so like we said, another mediocre card, but that's been the pattern here. Most of these cards have been subpar and not great support, to be honest, for Rosinante. Very very below average, I would say. So
No, I don't.
let's go ahead and continue on. Here we have Baby 5. So it says it's a one cost, 1,000 power, 1K counter. Activate main, rest one Dawn. This character can be rested. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal one card with Don Quixote Pirates and add it to your hand, and put the rest to the bottom in any order. So here's your basic cookie cutter searcher, right? Searcher Don Quixote Pirate.
Yeah, it's your Bonnie for Don Quixote Pirates type. Really good. Any card like that's gonna be great,
Yeah,
especially in the Rocinante deck, which can protect it with leader.
yeah.
So I love this card. You'll even play this in like a green purple Doflamingo
Oh
if it's
yeah,
still around.
100%. Let's go ahead and move on here. We have a Bellamy. He is a 3 cost, 5,000 power, 1K counter, and just your vanilla stat line. So not much to say here, other than he is searchable because he's Don Quixote Pirate. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. This reads, so it's a 3 cost, kind of expensive for a blocker, 1,000 power, 1K counter. Here is the effect: when blocking, set up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost 4 or less to rest. So obviously this effect here is amazing.
Pretty
Um,
solid. Yeah, it's kind of like Uta,
yeah,
purple Uta
yeah,
for free.
yeah. Um,
Pretty decent. It's gonna get popped by any power cost related effect pretty easily, but if
yeah.
you ever get the effect off, I mean,
It's a
pretty good.
yeah, it's a nice momentum swing if you ever do pull it off.
Yeah.
Nice card there. Okay, now we're getting into the events. So here we have the first event. It's only the winner is right. It's a 0 cost. It's your basic discard one from hand up to one of your leader characters gets plus 3,000 power during this battle. And then here's the trigger: rest up to one of your opponent's characters with cost 4 or less. So I think that trigger it's decent. And then obviously the 0 cost events are always amazing. Not having to have any Dawn up to play other than discard a card, which you might want to do in this deck because you're running Rosinante. If you're running this card in that deck, you can you know keep you it'll keep you under that 6 card threshold that you need to be to use the effect. So I think this is a decent event.
Printing discard a card for 0 plus 3Ks in every color now.
Yeah.
and green's finally getting it. And a few decks do play them. I think they have a place. I don't know how good it will be in green or if it'll take the place over any other card, but
But it's there.
definitely. I mean, these are never bad.
Yeah, the option's there, you know?
They're always an option.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. This is Buto Stone. 2 cost, plus 4,000 counter for one of your leaders or one of your characters. And then it says after that, you may discard a card from your hand if you do activate up to 3 Dawn. So that's very interesting. You can pay 2 to get this effect off, and then you can discard a card and activate 3 more Dawn, which is very interesting to me. I guess you would do that to be able to use more events, but I don't know if Rosinante you even wanna be event heavy. Or I'm not sure where a card like this has this place in the meta, but we're
It's
not
going
the
more for green purple Doflamingo. A lot of these cards I think are just better in green purple Doflamingo, sadly. But even that, I don't even think you would ever run this card in that deck.
yeah. So I've definitely tested a decent amount of the O4 Dofi leader, the purple green, and some of these cards, like you said, like could be used in that, but the kind of the meta of where that deck is now, that kind of list, I still wouldn't even run some of these cards. Like I just feel like they're too lackluster and not enough upside for what's required to play these cards, or the effects that warrant how much you pay. I don't know. We're not to
See,
see.
the only decent thing about this is the trigger. You can actually rest your opponent's leader off trigger, which I think I don't. Have we seen that trigger yet?
Um,
Because it's usually just rest the character. It's never rest a leader.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is
That's a pretty strong trigger, honestly.
the first rest the leader, um, which is it's decent. I mean, you're resting. If you're a 6,000, if you're versing Whitebeard, but if not, it's 5,000. For the most part, I still don't think that this is a great card. I wouldn't personally run this in any deck.
Oh yeah, not great by any means.
All right, last 2 cards here. This one's Beta Beton Meteor. It's a 2 cost plus 4,000 for your leader or up to one of your characters for this battle. After that, KO up to one character with cost 4 or less, and that's rested. So another one of those rested cards, which
Three
is
or less.
3 or less. It's nice because for the most part, your opponent's gonna want to swing into you, and so if they're in that special 3 or less, you can go ahead and pop this, uh, block the attack, and KO the unit as well. And
Yeah.
then
So
trigger. Hold on, let me read the
okay.
trigger. KO up to one of your up to one character with cost 5 or less, and that's rested. So I think that trigger is pretty good.
So one thing I was going to say about the main counter effect, a lot of these 4K counters that get rid of something, they always say active. This one says rested, which is cool because say you go like a crazy swing with any 3 cost, like say a 3 cost Zoro, like I put 4 down at swing 9. You can just use this card and kill the Zoro. Zoro dies and the attack fizzles.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they crazy overswing this and it's a 3 or less, this card just says goodbye. I basically countered that whole big attack. That doesn't happen too often, but it's just kind of a cool little niche thing this card can do.
Yeah, see, something like this I would definitely run in a green purple Dofi, just because if you have Uta on board, you can go ahead and rest one of their characters and then pop this and then block that attack and KO blocker, KO just a 3
That's
drop or
true.
less. Something like this,
The-
I would definitely consider. But I mean, the trend's continuing. We're seeing some cards that definitely might not be seeing too much playtime in the O5 meta. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what Asia comes up with. For the time being, all we have is these cards and their effects on paper. Uh, we're gonna go ahead. Oh, was that the last card? Oh no, we have one
no,
more.
we have this.
So, okay, so this is Birdcage. It's a 5 drop, and it reads: If your leader is Don Quixote do Flamingo, all characters with a cost 5 or less cannot be activated during each refresh phase. So that is the opponent's and your own 5 drops. And then, so that is character or leader lock 2 Do Flamingo. And then it has another effect. At the end of your turn, if you have 10 Dawn on your field, KO all characters with cost 5 or less that are rested. Then put this stage into the trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this stage is insane. Any low to the ground like Zoro deck, maybe not Law, because Law can actually take their stuff back and make sure everything's active still. But like this card is gonna delete Zoro from the game. Anytime they swing with weenies, you actually just you don't even need to pretend like they're there. Because at 10 Dawn, they're just dead anyway. You never need to swing into the little guys anymore. You can focus on like the bigger threats. And not to mention, if they swing with the little guys, they're not getting to swing again because they're just sitting there rested until 10 Dawn. So they're either going to have to put a card over it and trash them, or just not fill board. This card, like, it puts them in the birdcage. Literally, it's a great card with a lot of good flavor as
Yeah,
well.
right. And definitely both of the effects are amazing, especially because the first effect, you don't you rarely run any 5 drops. You run like 6 maybe at most, or depending on your ratios, but the Doflamingo decks barely run any 5 drops, so it's really good that first effect. And then yeah, like you said, they know that 10 Dawn turn is coming up, and I think the best part about it is there's cards like, um, what's his name, Tesoro, where you can purposely get yourself below that threshold. And so let's say your opponent knows that the 10 Dawn turn is coming, and so they don't swing. And then if you use something to, not be able to play the effect like a Tesoro where you -2 Dawn to draw 2 cards, then they just didn't swing. And on top of that, you basically got that free turn, and this card is still active next turn. So it definitely has some, potential to fake your opponent out before the effect is actually used. Or even like a queen. If you don't have a Tesoro on board and you play a queen, that's Dawn -1. End of your turn comes, you don't have 10 Dawn on your field, the effect won't pop, and your opponent just got stuck in the birdcage for a turn.
Exactly. Sadly, just another card that's going to be better in green purple Doflamingo, Rosinante. Never going to get used to this card, especially with all the low bodies you're going to run.
Yeah, I think we definitely just saw a lot more Doflamingo support with some pretty mid cards. I'm gonna go ahead and have to give this a rating of 2.5 out of 5. I think they could have done a lot better with these cards, and I can see a couple being used, but for the majority of these cards, I don't think we'll see much play. I mean, you'll probably see, your casual players running a Rosinante, with some mid decks, but I don't see this deck having a place in the meta.
Yeah. A lot of these new cards, they're either honestly amazingly fantastic, like Pika, One Cost Searcher Baby 5, the Birdcage, or they're completely terrible, like any of these random one drops or,
Yeah.
yeah. So a little bit of a hit or miss on these cards, but oh, oh yeah, I'd probably also give it around a 2 or 3.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and staying until the end of this video. That is going to wrap up this one for today. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We upload daily videos, guys. Daily videos. Do not miss them. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to comment down below what your favorite card was in this green OP05 set that we're getting. And yeah, man, just stay with us. We're on the come up, and we appreciate you guys. We see you guys. Comment down below. We will respond. We'll like your comments. We engage with you guys. Nothing but support has been shown for us, and we appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you guys on the next video. You guys have a wonderful day.